Hi there. How's everyone doing? If you're watching the replay, thank you. Go ahead and flip this around. Hey. Get out of the sun. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Emily Scott. I create content for creatives at eltscott.com. And one of the things that I focus on is talking about creative blocks and why I feel creatives shouldn't let blocks stop them. Creative blocks are part of the creative process. They usually, kind of go around in a circle where they'll creep up again from time to time. I know they do with me, especially every time I start something new. The same old blocks show up and I recognize that they're, hi, how are you? Hey, Nikki. I recognize that they're, coming my way. So it's not so much that we're trying to get rid of blocks permanently in the sense that they're never going to show up again. What I try to teach creatives is the solutions and the resources they need to stop those blocks once they show up. Plow them out of your way and keep moving forward. So, friend of mine, Erica, thought I should do a Periscope series this week. So I'm taking her advice, I'm taking a risk, and I want to talk about one particular block each day this week, Monday through Friday. And so I'm going to go ahead and focus on perfectionism today and dealing with perfectionism as creatives and how that stops us. And then I'm going to give you guys 2 solutions on how to deal with perfectionism. Thanks, Nikki. All right. So the problem I see with perfectionism is it's a bit of a double-edged sword. What happens is it first swoops in and stops us from wanting to create. We have this fear of ever even starting because we know we're not going to be any good at it, and we're afraid of jumping into something new because, anytime you start something new, you probably aren't going to be amazing at it at first. And then we finally create, we get through that, and then perfectionism shows up again and says, well, you might have created it, but there's no way you can share that with anyone. You can't hit publish on that. Hey, Victoria, you can't hit publish on that blog post. Don't send the novel out to publishers. There's no way you should enter that art fair. And so we have perfectionism trying to stop us from creating, and then perfectionism shows up again and it tries to stop us from sharing what we've created and, publishing what we've created. And I think where perfectionism stems from the most is comparing ourselves to others. We fall into that trap. It's one thing to have role models, to have people we consider mentors, people we look up to who motivate us to push ourselves. But it's really easy to cross that line where we're suddenly saying, I'm not as good as blank. I can't paint as good as whoever it is. I can't write as good as someone. Someone has an amazing blog. I'm never going to be able to have an amazing blog like they are. Or someone's running their own business. I'm never going to be able to run my business the way that person is. And we start telling ourselves this and we start talking ourselves down to the point where now we don't even want to try, right? Why should I even try? If I know I'm not going to be as good as this person, why should I even give it a shot? And so one of the things you want to start doing is being careful when you compare yourself to others. Make sure, don't make it a fine line. Make it a thick line. No, okay, I follow whoever it is. I enjoy looking at someone's paintings. I enjoy reading someone's novels because I admire them and because I view them as a role model. But I'm not going to compare myself to them because I'm not them. I'm me. Oh, Virgos are perfectionists? Yeah, my husband's a Virgo and he has that problem too. It's okay to want to be your best. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be your best. But you have to accept that where you are right now is as good as you're going to be right now. Something I loved doing when I was in college, I was a literature major. And I loved looking at rough drafts of what novelists had written. It gave you a sense of realism, like they had to write multiple drafts too. You know, if you're looking at the finished product of, say, Moby Dick, and you're thinking, this is amazing, there's no way I could ever write this good, we forget, well, you know, Melville had to write a couple drafts to get there. He didn't just sit down, write it out, and he was good to go. You know, he had, and the same goes for any artist, the same goes for any musician. They all had to start somewhere. And we usually don't see that. What we're usually seeing is the final product that looks incredible. We don't see the behind the scenes where these people that we might view as role models or even as idols, they had to start where we're starting to. They had to work through mistakes. They had to work through fails and falling and rejection, and they push forward, which is why, you know, they're out now. And we know if we do that too, if we keep pushing forward, we'll eventually get there as well. So the two solutions that I wanted to share with you about perfectionism, the number one is knowing that you're going to make mistakes and just accepting it. I know it's easier said than done. I know it's easier to say, accept you're going to make mistakes and move on. But you really need to just acknowledge you're going to make mistakes. If it helps, think about the last time you learned something new, whether it was learning how to drive, whether it was learning a new skill in school or a new subject. You probably didn't start off very well. You probably didn't know what you were doing. But because you kept trying, because you kept showing up every day, you got better at it. Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way, I'm not going to quote her exactly. I can't remember the exact quote off the top of my head, but she says something along the lines of, if we want to be good artists, we have to be willing to be bad artists. And, you know, just anytime we start something new, that's the way it's going to be. We're just not going to be good at the very beginning, and that's okay. And if we accept that we're not going to be very good at the beginning, it's easier to make those mistakes. We don't beat ourselves up as much because you can say, you know what, I started this a week ago. Of course it's not great yet. The second solution I have for perfectionism is being mindful of who you share what you're doing with, especially when it's new. So if you're just getting into, say, painting, or you're writing your very first novel, or you've just started a blog, be mindful of who you share it with. This is when we're the most vulnerable. This is when words always hurt. Yeah, exactly. There's always room to grow. And that's what's fun. You're right. It is exciting to know that where I am right now is not where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Like, I can keep moving. I can keep growing. Absolutely. Sorry, I have to get better about that, like looking at comments and then getting back to what I was saying. But I think that criticism is never fun. I don't think you ever get to the point where, like, oh, I enjoy criticism. But when something's really brand new, it can really hurt the most. And sometimes it can even stop us from wanting to continue on. And so what I would recommend doing is just being careful who you share it with. You might decide to share it with no one in the beginning. You might say, you might not even tell anyone you're starting. Like, I'm not even going to tell anyone that you're starting to learn a new instrument, or I'm not even going to tell anyone that I'm going to take a class at, community college until I get into it more and get more familiar with it. And when you do feel like sharing, just be mindful of who you share it with. Who do you have in your life, whether it's family, it's friends, it might be people from an online community that you've met. Who are you comfortable with sharing that you can trust them to, give you feedback, but also to be respectful and mindful of the fact that this is new to you. This is something that you're pushing yourself to do. This is something new that you're trying, and they're going to be supportive, more supportive than critical. And the more comfortable you get sharing, you share just a little bit, and then eventually, oh, good, I'm glad you thought of that, Nikki. Yeah, I think it helps to get you used to sharing, and then that confidence builds, and then eventually, okay, I'm now going to go share it with, say, the world or with a larger audience. And at that point, we know we have that support system already. So even when we come across someone who goes, I don't like what you're doing, it's like, that's okay, because I have 10 people standing behind me who do like what I'm doing and who do support me. And that can make it a lot easier to handle that. All right, so let me go ahead and just flip this around. I wanted this to be a quick scope. flip this around again. See if you guys can see that. So if you joined late, again, I'm Emily Scott, and I create content for creatives at eltscott.com. And this week I'm talking about creative blocks, a different creative block each day of the week. And what I'm doing is trying to help creatives to get past these blocks and to get the solutions that they need to take down the blocks that are affecting them. So right now, for the month of February, I am doing a special for my coaching services. They're 30-minute segments, and what we're going to do is dive in right away to what your particular block is and come up with a customized solution for you. So every time that block shows up, you know how to take care of it, and it's not going to throw you off your track, and you're going to be able to keep creating. And to get to that, it's bit.ly/3030solution. Thanks, Nikki. And thanks, Victoria and Nikki, for popping in here and commenting. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support from you guys. Alright, so I'm going to log off because I did want to keep this short. And I hope you guys are all having an awesome evening. We're moving into evening. Thanks, Victoria. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time to talk about the next creative block. Bye.